In a hot seller's market, one of the strategies often used to make your offer stronger and win the house you love is an appraisal contingency waiver. So in today's video, I'm going to explain the 4 types of appraisal contingency waivers and when you should do it. Stay tuned. Hey, it's Rick Elmendorf, Loan with Rick, Movement Mortgage, and happy May the 4th be with you. And as you can see, I got my buddy Grogu here, and as well as my t-shirt. If you were wondering, this actually is in fact a mathematical equation. You have force equals mass times acceleration. So there you have it. On this channel, you will gain knowledge to last you a lifetime. And all kidding aside, I do a lot of strategy videos like the one you're watching now, as well as real estate and market updates. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Let's get to it. So what is an appraisal contingency waiver, and should you even do it? Well, let's go ahead and answer these questions. But first off, an appraisal contingency waiver is when you agree to accept the home at the price agreed upon, nothing more. And the strategy behind an appraisal contingency waiver is to remove, I guess, really the main reason that the sellers balk at the appraisal, which is the value. So one big misconception is that you can avoid needing an appraisal altogether. Well, that's actually not the case, because if the appraisal is needed by the lender, you're going to have to get it. With that said, there are 4 kinds of appraisal contingency waivers. Number 1 is the as-is appraisal contingency waiver. Now, this means basically that regardless of the value and condition of the property, the buyer is going to proceed. This is very uncommon, since if the lender needs an appraisal, then, and most every time they do, you're in big trouble if the home has any defects or health and safety issues. The lender will not loan on this property if these things exist. Next up is the property inspection waiver. Now, this type of waiver should never be used at the offer stage, as the lender really won't know if they're going to have a property inspection waiver. The problem and the reality is that lenders don't put the property address until the offer is ratified. Lenders really, if we did this for every single property, we wouldn't be able to underwrite all the real loans that are out there, and if we had to fully decision every potential transaction. So in essence, a PIW is something you should never see at the offer stage. Third on the list is the full acceptance of the sales price appraisal contingency waiver. This is when the borrower agrees to pay the sales price no matter what the appraised value comes in at. And once a low value is in, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get the appraised value up. Last but certainly not least is the partial acceptance of the sales price. Now, remember that the strategy behind an appraisal waiver is to remove the main reasons sellers balk at the appraisal, which is the value. So it's common to waive the appraisal contingency with a stipulation that in the event of a low appraisal, the buyer will make up the difference between the sales price and the loan and the appraised value not to exceed, you pick the number. So this is the safest way to waive the appraisal, albeit partially, and still protect yourself. So the question remains, when should you do an appraisal contingency waiver? In my opinion, there's only 2 scenarios when you should do one. Number 1 is you have the cash. I mean, if you just straight up have the cash and you won't be causing yourself any financial headaches by having to come up with that appraisal shortage, then go ahead and go for it. Being able to communicate to the seller that you have the reserves to make up the difference is huge. Secondly, if you are putting a greater than required down payment on the loan. Now, let me explain this. The reason I say greater than required is very important, because the maximum loan amount your lender will give you is based on the appraised value. If after the appraisal, your loan amount is still less than or equal to the lender's max loan for the program that you chose, then you can finance the difference of the low appraisal and not bring cash. So for example, if the maximum loan you can get on your conventional loan is 95%, which would be a 5% down payment, and you've already decided you're going to put 20% down, then you have a 15% buffer for the appraisal to come in low. This allows you to make up the difference in financing, since the lender will allow your loan amount to be as high as 95% of the appraised value. Well, there you have it. It's no argument that having an appraisal contingency waiver with your offer makes you look much stronger. I'd like to know what you think. What do you think about appraisal contingency waivers? Should they be a part of this whole madness going on? Have you had experience with them? What's been going on in your offers recently? What have you been having to waive to win the house that you love? Please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to like and share this video if you found this content helpful. It really does help out a lot. Happy May the 4th be with you. This is Rick Elmendorf signing off, and I will see you on the next video.